We have had snow on the ground for the last few weeks, and I've had the chickens cooped up because we've been really cold. But today we actually have a day that is, I think, 47. So it's still decently chilly, but hopefully some of this snow will melt off a little bit. But I need to get the chickens coop clean because we're about to get another pretty cold snap of weather. And I figured since some of the snow has really melted over here, I would let them out while I do this. And I think this might be the first time they have experienced snow, so this might be really funny. I know, what is that? I have this water because their water keeps freezing in the middle of the night. Even though I do have a heater in it, these areas just get frozen. Everything is just getting so dirty. I really need to clean it. Thought you'd be excited to get out of here, at least for this little bit. I used to use this extended cat litter scoop for almost like 2.5 years now, and this is a coop scoop, which has been significantly nicer. I have sand in their run, and you just scoop it like cat litter, and it's pretty easy to clean. Go out. Give me 5 minutes. I'm getting a batch of broth going at the moment. I cooked these 2 chickens to have meat for lunches and dinners. So now I am just taking the bones and I am going to make a broth today. Now, if I don't want to make broth or get to this right away, I will just freeze the carcasses and do a big batch for canning later. I'm going to leave this pretty plain Jane. I'm gonna cut up an onion, throw water in with the bones, throw some salt in, nothing crazy, and that's pretty much going to be it. If I had celery on hand, I'd throw celery in there. I do have some carrots. I harvested some carrots from the garden. Maybe I'll throw a few carrots in there as well. And after a handful of this just simmering on the stove, I will run it through a cheesecloth to get anything out of it, like any small particles and stuff like that. And that's about it. Pretty easy. These are carrots from the garden that I harvested. If you don't plan to get to carrots right away, if you put them in a cup of water like this, they will stay very crisp, and it's such a good hack for carrots. This is actually the last of the carrots in the garden. I still have some downstairs that are freeze dried, but we will be planting carrots, I want to say end of March or so. I need to double check my timeline, but I will have extra carrots. These are so good though. If you've never had a fall winter carrot, they get sweeter by being in the ground and getting cold because they store their sugars, and they taste absolutely amazing. So I actually like to eat these ones raw for the most part. While the broth is going, I am going to take these frozen strawberries here, and I'm just going to give them a nice quick cut and lay them out on some freeze dryer trays. I'm going to freeze dry some strawberries because I really like to use freeze dried strawberries in different recipes. I like to blend the freeze dried strawberries into a powder and use them for icing. It creates a really nice pink icing that's strawberry flavored. It's so good. I also like to use freeze-dried strawberries to make scones, and I don't have any more freeze-dried strawberries downstairs, so I figured I'd just grab a few bags of frozen strawberries and do this real quick. Since these strawberries are already frozen, it will eliminate some extra freeze-dry time for me. What the freeze dryer does is it freezes all of your items first. So if you wanted just to cut down time in general, you could go ahead and freeze whatever item you're doing before putting it into the freeze dryer. But in this case, since they're already frozen, I will put them in. The machine will notice that it's frozen, and it will take a decent amount of time off. So then that way you're just saving electricity, especially you already probably have your freezer going. I want to play around with maybe making like a strawberry toaster strudel or a Pop-Tart with some of my freeze-dried berries this round, and that's one reason why I'm gonna prep this. I think it'd be really fun to use this for a bunch of different Valentine's Day recipes and things. Nothing. Their laying should pick up pretty soon in the upcoming months. I've only been getting about 1 to 2 eggs every day. Then there's been a few days with this cold spell where we just haven't gotten any eggs. Yesterday, I made this cute little half apron. I've been wanting a half apron for a while, and I ended up using the rest of this linen fabric from my little napkin project. I think it turned out so cute. What do you guys think? I also got the strawberries out of the freeze dryer, and today I think I'm going to try to make some strawberry Pop-Tarts, but I'm going to make them heart-shaped for Valentine's Day, I think. So I want to use my freeze-dried strawberries to make the icing and also the filling for it. I started by making some pie dough. I like to use an all butter crust. Mine consisted of 350 grams of flour, 2 sticks of salted butter, and about 10 tablespoons of really cold water. I like to freeze my butter an hour before, and I use a cheese grater to cut it up, and this just makes it really quick to incorporate into the flour. I got all of that kneaded together. While all that chills up, I'm going to use some of my freeze-dried strawberries to create a jam for the inside. I took 60 grams of strawberries, and I added about 1 cup of hot water to reconstitute them. Once they absorbed most of the liquid, I transferred them to the stove, where I also added half a teaspoon of lime juice and about 1/3 cup of sugar. Once it started to boil, I let it cook down for about 15 minutes and it was done. I was super impressed on how the jam turned out. Now moving on to assembly. I rolled out my dough to be about 1/8 of an inch in thickness, and then I used a heart-shaped cookie cutter to cut out the dough. Before placing the jam on the inside, I pressed down on the dough a little bit. That way the jam could just sit on the inside and not easily squeeze out the side. I added about 3/4 of a tablespoon of jam to each one. I spread it out a little bit, making sure to keep about 1/2 inch along the sides. Before placing the top, I also flattened out this dough and formed a little bit of a dome to help that filling stay in place as well. I started closing them up by pinching the sides, and then I pressed down with a fork to help secure everything. I also poked a few holes in the top of each one. Once assembled, they went into the fridge for about 30 minutes. This will help the butter not spread when they are baking. Before going into the oven, I brushed a quick egg wash on top, and then I baked them for about 28 minutes or so at 375 degrees. Now time to make the icing. This is one of my favorite things. I've been making this icing for strawberry scones that I make for about a year now, and it's so good. So all you do is take 10 grams of freeze-dried strawberries, and I blended this into a quick powder. I did sift this, and I reserved any like bigger chunks to the side. You'll see what I do with those in just a second. To the powder, I added 75 grams of powdered sugar and then about 40 to 50 grams of whole milk, and I blended. I transferred to a bag where I cut the tip so I could easily pipe this icing onto them. Then that sifted out strawberry that I had, I sprinkled on the top, and it was so cute. It's like a little sprinkle. They look so cute, and you guys, they are so good. This might be one of my favorite things I've made in a really long time. I've honestly been in such a cooking rut since the summer. It was my busiest summer preserving food, and honestly, I just got out of the swing of being in the kitchen. I really felt like I needed time off. This was one of my first like experiments I've done in a very long time, and I am so happy with how these turned out. These are so much fun. I love using freeze-dried strawberries. I think it gives the icing such a unique, fun flavor, and they're just so versatile. They're so fun to bake with. It is quite literally freezing today. Our feel like right now is 12 degrees. It is almost 1 in the afternoon. It is a very cold day. It's also snowing at the moment. I did check on the chickens earlier this morning and got them some warm water. So I need to go check and make sure that that water hasn't frozen over. My water heater for the chickens is just not doing its job this year. So I'm gonna go check on them, and while I'm at it, I'm going to give them a nice little treat. So one thing I like to do over the summer is when my sunflower heads are spent, I like to leave them go to seed. I dry them out. Now here during winter, I can give my chickens nice little sunflower heads. So I'm gonna put a few of these around in this box here. I have some outer leaves of lettuce from the head of lettuce I bought the other day that I'm gonna sprinkle in here as well. Got these cute little bowls that I'm going to fill up with some hemp. These are just hemp seeds from Eatin' Pet and Pasture, and they really, really like them. So I'm going to give them some hemp seeds. I'm also going to give them some grub, scratch grains, which consist of different corn, peas, wheat, barley, oat. I wish I had some berries or something, but I don't. I have the freeze-dried berries, but I would have rather given them some fresh berries. But this will work. It's definitely a love-hate relationship with the chickens during winter, just because I'm typically not an outdoor girly if it is very cold like this. Hi, girls. How we doing, honeys? Oh, it does look like your water froze. Now we'll sprinkle your grubbies. I truly think this is one of the more snowy, cold winters we have had in quite some time, to be honest. I was actually shocked to see snow today. Woo! And I keep slipping because this ground is so icy, because we got ice before the snow and then the snow melted, and it's just kind of hazardous to walk a little bit. Looks pretty. Just heated up one of these. They are literally so good. I started these onion seedlings roughly 3 weeks ago. I started them on the 27th of December. I haven't thinned them out or anything. So I really like to soil block my onion seedlings. This is kind of just my preference when it comes to onions nowadays. And last year I made the note to only do one seedling per block. It was just a lot easier to plant out, and I feel like the plants did a lot better not having like any type of disturbance with their roots. So that is what I am doing again this year. I'm growing the same variety I have grown called Calibra. It's snowing today. I'm at the point where I miss seeing green things living. These few months are just really quiet for me, and I like to kind of embrace it because the rest of my year is so busy with everything I have going on that I just like to take things a little bit easy. I am starting to get a little bit bored, but I figured I would show you guys what my day-to-day kind of looks like in the winter. I like to just learn new things I've been wanting to learn. This is where I feel like I'm really able to be a little bit more creative, because once summer gets here and I just have a million things to do, it's just a knocking out of a to-do list, which I feel like it's almost easier to bring the camera along for that, and not so much when you're sitting down trying to learn something. It's kind of just a quieter time, but I figured I would take you guys along and kind of just show you what life is like during winter. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye.